picture this. You're running an e-commerce business.
Yeah.
Maybe you started it out of your garage as like a weekend project, or maybe it's a side hustle that suddenly grew legs.
Or it's already a full-fledged enterprise, right? With warehouse space and an actual payroll.
Exactly. You have loyal customers, you've got physical inventory, and most importantly, you have steady revenue coming in. But your website platform, it's kind of creaking under the pressure.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
Right? It's slow, or it's just wildly expensive to maintain, or you feel completely trapped by its technical limitations. Deep down, you need to move to a new platform.
But the very thought of it sends a cold shiver down your spine.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh.
Because if you mess this up, you aren't just breaking a website, you are literally turning off the cash register.
It is arguably one of the most stressful digital operations a business owner can undertake. The digital storefront is the entire foundation of an e-commerce brand. So when you outgrow it, the friction doesn't just stay in the IT department. It bleeds into everything. I mean, daily fulfillment operations, customer trust, and, well, ultimately your bottom line.
Which is terrifying.
It is. But staying put on a failing platform is usually far more dangerous than the migration itself.
And that is the exact dilemma we are tackling today. If you've been on the fence about moving your store, we've got our hands on a massive new blueprint. It covers everything about Shopify migrations in 2026.
It's a really comprehensive source.
It is. So our mission for this deep dive is to extract the exact timelines, the hidden costs, the terrifying SEO traps, and the platform-specific quirks you absolutely need to know to execute a completely seamless migration.
Because you really have to get it right.
You do. And looking at the sheer scale of the Shopify ecosystem right now from this guide, I mean, it is mind-blowing. They are powering over 5.3 million active stores.
Yeah, that's huge.
That is roughly a 29% market share in the U.S. alone. Just incredible scale.
Which tells us this transition needs to be viewed through the lens of a critical business strategy. It's not just, a weekend software update.
Right.
Moving to infrastructure of that scale offers immense benefits in terms of security and stability. But the bridge to get there requires incredibly careful engineering. You have to protect your revenue and secure your customer data while the actual move is happening.
Okay, let's unpack this. Before we get into the mechanics of how to pack up all your digital boxes, we really need to understand the reality of what this move entails. In terms of time and money, I mean.
Because it's not a quick fix.
No, exactly. Moving an e-commerce platform isn't like dragging a folder of files onto a thumb drive. It is like physically picking up a brick-and-mortar store, putting it on the back of a flatbed truck, and moving it across town.
All while the open sign is still illuminated in the window.
Yes. And customers are actively trying to walk through the front door.
I love that analogy because it really highlights the absolute necessity of zero downtime.
Right.
And the reason merchants are willing to undergo that kind of stress usually comes down to, well, infrastructure fatigue. A primary driver for this migration is gaining access to Shopify's 99.99% uptime SLA. That's their service level agreement.
Okay.
Along with their built-in Level 1 PCI DSS compliance.
Let's pause there for a second because PCI DSS sounds like, I don't know, cybersecurity alphabet soup.
It does, yeah.
For the listener who isn't a tech compliance officer, that basically means the platform handles the legal and technical nightmare of keeping credit card data safe from hackers. All right.
That's spot on. See, when you're on a self-hosted platform, something like WooCommerce or an older version of Magento, the burden of credit card security standards falls squarely on your shoulders.
Yikes.
Yeah, if there's a breach, your business is liable. And the same goes for server crashes. Say you get a massive spike in traffic on Black Friday and your self-hosted server just crashes.
Which happens all the time.
All the time. You are the one losing sales while you scramble to call your hosting provider, waiting on hold. What's fascinating here is the psychological shift merchants have to make. They have to move from a self-hosted mindset to a bundled mindset.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. You think you're saving money on an older platform because the core software might be open source and technically, free.
Right, free. In quotes.
Exactly.
Right.
But then you look at your profit and loss statement and you're paying for premium hosting, security patches, SSL certificates. You're basically keeping a freelance developer on a monthly retainer just to fix things when random plugins break.
You're paying in mental bandwidth too. And fragmented costs. Merchants often look at the monthly subscription cost of a fully hosted platform and have a bit of sticker shock.
Because it looks higher up front.
Exactly. But they're ignoring the true ongoing cost of developer maintenance on their old site. The fully hosted model essentially bundles all of that technical overhead into one predictable monthly fee.
So let's talk about the reality of the move itself. Migrations are not, one size fits all.
Definitely not.
If you have a relatively simple store, say under 100 products, you can actually use the free store migration app provided by Shopify. That process takes maybe 1 to 3 days and costs $0 beyond your subscription.
Pretty painless.
Yeah, but if you have a complex or enterprise-level store with 1,000 to 10,000 plus products, you are in a completely different league. You are likely going to need to hire a specialized agency.
And that takes 3 to 6 weeks. Plus, it costs anywhere from $500 to well over $5,000.
Wow.
Yeah. And that timeline isn't just data transfer. It includes strategic planning, SEO routing, and rigorous testing before you ever slip the switch. You simply cannot rush the testing phase.
There is a brilliant operational tactic to help with that exact phase, actually. According to the guide, there's a trial period, usually around $1 per month for the first 3 months.
That's incredibly helpful.
It really is.
Yeah.
So you can set up the new store, take your time mapping the data, run mock transactions to test your payment gateways, train your staff on the new dashboard. And it costs you almost nothing while you're still paying to keep your old live site running.
It acts as a crucial operational buffer. By removing the financial pressure of paying for 2 expensive platforms simultaneously, it prevents merchants from rushing the launch.
Because rushing is bad.
Rushing is where catastrophic mistakes usually happen.
Right. Now that we understand the timeline and that financial buffer, we have to tackle the actual packing process. The reality of moving data is that not everything fits in the moving truck.
Unfortunately, no.
Products, variants, images, customer addresses, order histories, those usually transfer quite well. But I want to understand the mechanics here. How is a migration app actually moving thousands of products so cleanly?
It all comes down to API mapping. Think of it like a massive automated translator between 2 different spreadsheets.
Okay.
Your old platform might have a database column called item title, but Shopify has a column called product name.
Right, different labels.
Exactly. The migration app uses an API, an application programming interface, to read the data from the old system, translate the formatting, and inject it directly into the correct fields in the new system.
Oh, I see.
So standard structured data maps really cleanly.
That clears it up, but then there are the things that categorically do not transfer, like your website's theme and visual design. Gone.
Yeah.
You have to rebuild that completely from scratch on the new framework.
Yeah, design doesn't migrate.
And gift cards. Those cannot be migrated securely, so you usually have to honor them manually or reissue them.
Yeah.
But crucially, the absolute biggest universal bottleneck of any migration is customer passwords.
Yes.
Passwords absolutely cannot be migrated. You have to use a bulk account invite to prompt all your past customers to reset their passwords on the new site.
Now, wait a minute. I have to push back here.
Okay, go ahead.
If I'm running a business, I have to email all my loyal customers and tell them their passwords are broken. Doesn't that risk creating massive friction, or worse, making them think we got hacked? I completely understand the anxiety there. It sounds like a terrible customer experience on the surface. But this raises an important question about how we view digital security. This isn't a platform flaw or a glitch. It is a universal security limitation across all modern secure platforms. And honestly, it is a very good thing.
A good thing. To frustrate my best customers. How so?
Well, it's because of how passwords are actually stored. Reputable platforms do not, or at least should never, store passwords in plain text. They run them through one-way cryptographic algorithms.
Meaning they scramble them.
Exactly. They hash them and add random data called salts. This means that even if a database is breached, the passwords look like a random string of useless characters.
Okay, that makes sense.
Every major platform uses completely different proprietary hashing algorithms to secure that data. They are intentionally incompatible by design.
Ah, I see where this is going.
Yeah, if you could easily export your customers' passwords to a CSV file and just import them somewhere else, it would mean your old platform security was fundamentally compromised.
Okay, when you put it that way, the perspective completely shifts. I mean, I would much rather tell my customers I'm protecting their sensitive data than admit my old system was storing their passwords like an open book.
Exactly. And from a business operations standpoint, you reframe the narrative. You don't send an email saying, hey, our system broke, please reset.
Right.
You use it as a touch point for brand engagement. You send a pre-migration email announcing an exciting new upgraded shopping experience. You let them know that to enhance their account security on this new platform, they're going to receive an exclusive invite link to activate their profile.
Oh, I really like that spin. You
Yes.
turn a technical roadblock into a marketing billboard.
You own the communication.
Now, speaking of the technical mechanics, the difficulty of this entire extraction process depends entirely on where that data currently lives. Let's explore the platform-specific hurdles, because the origin neighborhood dictates the entire moving strategy.
Origin platform architecture is everything.
Yeah.
You really have to know what you are up against before you start.
Right. So if you're listening to this and you are moving from BigCommerce, you have the smoothest path. They have very similar database structures to Shopify, so those translation apps we talked about work almost flawlessly.
Very straightforward.
But then you look at Wix and Squarespace. Aside from losing your design, Wix uses these dynamic JavaScript-rendered URLs. That means the web addresses are generated on the fly, and you have to totally manually map them to Shopify's flat, static URL paths.
Which is a lot of tedious work. And then you have a platform like Magento, which is flagged as extremely high complexity.
Oh, yeah.
If you have a Magento store, a free basic app just won't cut it. Magento's architecture is deeply customized, often involving complex multi-store setups and highly specific custom product attributes.
But what do you do?
You have to use a robust, premium, third-party app, something like Lit Extension, which specializes in heavy-duty database translation to handle that level of complexity.
And then there is Etsy. Leaving Etsy is a completely different beast. The big shocker here is that you don't actually own the customer relationship because Etsy actively restricts merchants from exporting customer email addresses.
It's a tough pill to swallow.
It really is. You are moving from a massive marketplace to a standalone store. It makes me think of an analogy. Moving from BigCommerce sounds like moving your apartment to an identical layout in a new building down the street.
Right.
But moving from Etsy, it's like leaving a stall at a crowded, bustling farmer's market to open your own standalone boutique out in the suburbs.
Yeah.
You suddenly have to figure out how to generate your own foot traffic.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the Etsy migration isn't just a technical data transfer. It is a fundamental shift in your business model.
Yes.
When you are operating on a marketplace like Etsy or Amazon, you are essentially trading brand ownership for built-in traffic. You're competing with millions of others right next to your listing, and you pay dearly for the privilege.
The fees are crazy.
Typically a 6.5% transaction fee plus listing fees on every single item.
Which just eats right into your profit margins as you try to scale.
Exactly. Moving to an independent platform from a marketplace is about taking full, uncompromising control of your brand and your margins. Yes, you lose the guaranteed farmers market foot traffic.
And yes, it is painful to realize that Etsy won't let you export the emails of the people who bought your products.
It is, but that limitation proves the exact point of why you need to leave. They aren't your customers, they are Etsy's customers.
Whoa.
Migrating means you are finally choosing to build a business asset you actually own, even if it means building your marketing list from scratch with pop-ups and welcome discounts on day one.
So you built this beautiful new standalone boutique away from Etsy. Or you've successfully mapped your massive Magento catalog. But there's a problem. A beautiful store means absolutely nothing if the roads leading to it are suddenly cut off.
No traffic, no sales.
Exactly. And that is exactly what happens if you botch what is widely considered the single biggest risk of any migration: SEO. Here's where it gets really interesting.
This is the invisible threat. It is the silent killer of e-commerce businesses post-migration.
The stakes here are genuinely terrifying. A poorly handled SEO migration is the #1 mistake merchants make. If you miss your redirects, you can experience a 30 to 60% drop in organic traffic overnight.
And it typically takes 3 to 6 months to recover that ranking.
In e-commerce, 3 to 6 months of a 60% traffic drop isn't just a bad quarter. That can mean bankruptcy.
It destroys your cash flow instantly, so the technical execution here has to be flawless.
The fix involves creating a comprehensive 301 redirect map. You use a tool like Screaming Frog.
Yes, highly recommend that one.
For anyone unfamiliar, Screaming Frog is a software program that acts like a robot librarian. It crawls through your entire existing website, clicking every single link, and generates a massive spreadsheet of every URL you currently have.
And then you take that spreadsheet and you map every old URL to the new Shopify URL structure. So an old link like /item name maps to Shopify's standard /products/ item name.
And then you just upload this to Shopify via a CSV file. It's essentially filling out thousands of change of address forms with the post office.
That's a great way to think about it.
But I have a question about this. I get meticulously redirecting my best-selling product pages, but the recommendation is to redirect every non-product page too. Category pages, old blogs, FAQ pages, even if you plan to delete them.
Yes.
Do I really need to painstakingly map out and redirect a deleted About Us page from 2022?
Yes, absolutely, yes. And to understand why it's so critical, you have to look at the mechanics of how Google and other search engines index the internet.
Okay, lay it on me.
Over the years, every single page on your site builds up a certain amount of trust, authority, and link equity. Other websites might have linked to that old 2022 About Us page. Customers might have bookmarked it.
Oh, I see. So the value isn't just in the current traffic, it's in the historical footprint.
Precisely. When you migrate, if a search engine crawler or a real user clicks an old link out in the wild and hits a 404 page not found error, it acts like a tiny cut to your overall domain authority.
Yikes.
If you have hundreds of those tiny cuts across old blogs, deleted categories, and outdated FAQ pages, Google's algorithm receives a massive warning signal that your new site is broken, poorly maintained, or untrustworthy.
So as a result, your entire search ranking across the whole domain plummets.
Exactly.
Wow. So it's not just about losing the traffic for that one specific deleted page. Those 404 errors actively drag down the ranking of your best-selling products too.
They infect the health of the whole domain. By using a 301 redirect, even if you are just redirecting that deleted 2022 About Us page to your new homepage or a general contact page, you are explicitly telling Google, yes, we moved, here's the new permanent destination.
And that fixes it.
It preserves all that historical trust and passes the link equity to your new site. It is how you protect the SEO foundation you have spent years building.
That is incredibly clarifying. You have to patch every single hole before you launch.
Every single one.
So let's fast forward. You've audited everything. You navigated the API data mapping. You survived the platform quirks. You obsessively mapped every single 301 redirect to protect your search ranking. And you finally flipped the switch. The new store is live and stable.
Congratulations are in order.
Right. But as your sales start to grow in your new home, a new operational question emerges. When do you scale? There's a fascinating post-migration strategy regarding the break-even math of upgrading your Shopify plan.
This is where the long-term financial strategy of the platform really reveals itself, and where merchants need to rely on pure mathematics rather than gut feeling.
Yeah. Unlike the migration itself, upgrading your Shopify plan is instant. It's one click with zero downtime.
But knowing exactly when to do it is vital.
Exactly. If you are on the basic plan at $39 a month and you want to move up to the Grow plan at $105 a month, the break-even point is roughly $33,000 a month in sales.
And the reason for that break-even point is the reduction in credit card processing fees. The online credit card rate drops by 0.2%, from 2.9% to 2.7%.
Which honestly doesn't sound like much until you apply it to scale.
Exactly.
On $33,000 in monthly volume, that 0.2% reduction saves you exactly $66 a month in fees. That savings completely offsets the $66 price difference between the basic and Grow plans.
It pays for itself.
It does. And the exact same logic applies to the jump from the Grow plan to the Advanced plan at $399 a month. The break-even there is about $147,000 a month in sales, where the rate drops down further to 2.5%.
Yeah.
So what does this all mean? It reminds me of wholesale volume pricing. You're basically choosing to pay a little more in fixed rent for your software in order to unlock a cheaper wholesale rate on your variable credit card transaction fees.
The wholesale analogy is perfectly applied there. But upgrading isn't solely about playing a mathematical game to save pennies on transaction fees.
What else is it about?
It is about unlocking the operational tools required for a growing company. When a business hits $33,000 or $147,000 a month in revenue, the internal needs of the team change drastically.
Beyond just the fees, what kind of infrastructure are they actually unlocking?
Well, for instance, that Grow plan unlocks professional reporting analytics and expands you to 5 staff accounts instead of just 1.
Well, that's a big deal.
A business doing that kind of volume needs multiple employees in the system simultaneously. You've got customer service handling returns, fulfillment printing labels, marketing checking inventory, and they all need to do this without sharing a single insecure login.
Right.
It also unlocks international pricing features. Then, when you hit that advanced tier, you get 15 staff accounts and calculated duties for international commerce at checkout. You are no longer just saving on processing fees. You are acquiring the enterprise infrastructure necessary to run a complex global operation without adding friction to the customer experience.
It is quite literally a roadmap for growth built right into the pricing structure.
It really is.
So to recap this massive journey for everyone listening, migration is absolutely not a weekend whim. You have to start by choosing the right method, understanding whether your catalog size allows for a simple API mapping app or requires a specialized agency.
Yeah, that planning is key.
You have to prepare your customers for the reality that passwords cannot come along for the ride, using that moment to build trust rather than frustration. You must prepare for your origin platform's quirks, especially if you're making the leap from the built-in traffic of a marketplace to stand on your own.
And don't forget the URLs.
Right. You have to obsess over your SEO 301 redirects, mapping every single URL like your business's life depends on it, because it does. And finally, once you are settled in, you let the math dictate exactly when to scale up your operations.
It is a meticulous, highly detailed process. But when engineered correctly, it entirely removes the technical ceiling that was previously holding the business back.
We've covered a huge amount of technical ground today, from database mapping to SEO domain authority. But there's one concept from all of this that I just can't stop thinking about. I want to leave you, the listener, with this to mull over.
Okay.
We talked about how modern security means customer passwords cannot be migrated. We talked about how marketplaces like Etsy point blank refuse to let you export the email addresses of the people who actually buy your products.
Right.
It begs a rather uncomfortable question about the modern internet. In the digital age, if you don't own your platform and you don't control the underlying data, do you really own your business? Or are you just renting your customers?
That is a deeply powerful perspective to consider when evaluating any long-term e-commerce strategy.
It really is. Remember, migrating platforms isn't just about moving a website to get a slightly better design. It is about physically picking up your digital brick-and-mortar store and moving it to a foundation that you actually control. Take the time, do the math, map the data, and make sure that open sign stays lit.